Hi, everybody. Happy New Year, and welcome to today's Tamales meeting. We're glad to have you join us.
Anna,
Um,
let's give them, it's 3:30, so let's just have a general conversation and we'll give a few more people the opportunity to
join.
join in just in case they're having a hard time. Hey, Ken.
Hey,
Ken, we have exciting news. We
oh,
spent all last week, Anna and I, at TSBVI, which is Texas School for the Blind, Vision Impaired. And we took a course, but in the meantime, the woman who taught the course was the original one I that talked me into getting the 3D printer. And she was my original conversation back in like 2015, 16. Anyways, I brought her the 3D printed symbols, a whole set of them. So now we officially have a set at TSBVI, and she loved them. She couldn't believe how she's like, well, these are much cleaner than the ones before, which I agreed with her, but they're actually the exact same ones, which shows me she never printed them.
all right.
Um, but she liked them. So, anyways, I've got a couple more collaboration meetings with her about them. So we'll see where it goes. So I'm really excited about that. We finally have one a full set at TSBVI.
Excellent. Thank you, Shannon.
So, um, and then we're meeting with a group tomorrow of educators from TSBVI, and we'll talk about them. So that'll be tomorrow afternoon.
Let me know how it goes.
I will. I'm excited.
Did you hear back from that person I put you in contact with up near Seattle?
I did not, but I need to reach out to her
Okay.
because I hit the ground. Shannon was crazy over the holidays and had our whole living room retiled, and I didn't realize how much. So what was supposed to be 1 week ended up being 3 weeks, and then we had everybody got the flu, and so it was an exciting vacation. It wasn't really a vacation. And so we finally celebrated Christmas the Sunday before I had to come back, which is for me usually my day to prep and get ready for the week, which I didn't have because I was chasing healthy grandchildren finally around. So I'm glad they're healthy, but it kind of really threw me off starting the new year. And we just hit the ground running and we're doing well. So it's all good. So I hope everybody else had a more restful vacation than I did. All right. I think we've got people here now. Will usually shows up, but he might be busy. And so go ahead and it's 3:34. Let's give him one more minute, Ann, and then we'll get started.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Anna. Take it away.
Okay.
And you can
Uh,
all see my screen okay?
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Welcome back. And if you're new, we're glad to have you. We're at Tamales. My name is Anna Gonzalez, and I'm joined by Shannon Page and Nico Nelson. We coordinate Tamales through the Texas Technology Access Program. So we're excited to kick off the new year of making, problem solving, and learning together. Next slide. So our Viva la Vida conference is coming up in a few months, October 28th and 29th. So we're officially in the countdown phase. 10 months kind of sounds far away, but it kind of sneaks up on you pretty fast. So we'll start sharing ways makers can get involved as we get closer to the date. So for now, mark your calendars and no more details will be coming soon. And then we do have a new meeting date per the survey that we've received. And so um starting now, Tamales will meet on the third Tuesday of every month from 11:30 to 12:30. Our next meeting will be February 17th. And you'll see the full list of dates here on the slide. So we'll plan to revisit the schedule next January for 2027. So if feedback comes up during this time throughout the year, we're always open to hearing it. And we're having some technical difficulties with the Zoom link, so then we'll be sure to send out another email regarding that link, the new one, which is from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So it's kind of going to be more of like a lunch and learn thing for us.
Hey, Anna, is the technical difficulty, does it have to do with the dates or with the link?
I think it's the link itself because the date starts on February 17th, but for some reason it's showing like the old one. So I think it
Right.
got mixed up.
Okay.
We're trying to problem solve because I pulled the link off the website and it should have been the new link. And so we're trying to see where the glitch was because there's several working parts in play. So we've got to go back and we apologize, but we're not quite sure. So we've got to investigate. But you will get a new email with the new link just to make sure, and we'll test it before I send it out.
Yeah. And then in the chat, I think Nico said that the website should have the new one. The next slide. So before we jump into today's activities, I want to ground us in why tamales exist. So our mission is to create a Texas-based makers network that supports and includes people with disabilities by collaborating to design tools and solutions that promote independence. So that can mean high tech, low tech, it can mean polished or experimental projects, and at times learning from things that maybe didn't work the first time.
And also, it's not making for people with disabilities, but with people with disabilities.
And TechFest Live. So we also wanted to share an upcoming event that aligns really well with this group. And it's a joint info session focused on advancing access in Texas. So with multidisciplinary voices involved. So it's happening on January 21st from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Central Time. It's virtual, and you can sign up through the TTAP website. The link is included here, but we can also put that in the chat. Shannon, if you want to add anything about the TechFest Live or what folks can expect, you can feel free to jump in about that.
So it's really at a very beginning stage. And anybody who I've talked with knows that one of my passion projects is really not just creating these collaborative spaces, but targeting schools and education. So it's not just meant for schools, but you've got to start somewhere, and that's kind of been my jumping off place. And I just posted on LinkedIn that we have thousands of kids in Texas who are in CTE programs. And so our goal is to really partner these kids with our kids with disabilities so that they're working together to create their own technology. And the World Health Organization says 80% of AT needs are unmet at this point in time. Now, granted, that's more significant in other countries, but there's still rural places where I go into schools and the kids have no assistive technology, even here in Texas. So if we can start targeting our CTE programs, then our CTE programs can start collaborating with our classrooms and everybody wins. And so I was helping Brian's here today at ImageNet, and the luck of the Irish, the right people lined up, and I was put in touch with Khalil, and he's actually the founder of TechFest Live. And he was actually in Vegas this week, and he didn't really know anything about assistive technology, but he's been running all of these TechFest Live events, and he's really excited. So cool thing was, now that he's got this as a conversation, he went to the what is it, Nico, the CSE, the big technology fair in Vegas last week.
Yes, yeah.
And there's an organization called CTA, and actually disability is one of their priorities. So now they're interested. So what this on January 21st is just going to be a conversation. There's going to be 6 of us there, and it's really meant to start that conversation. And we'd love for you to join because the idea is It's going to be a live feed in the middle of the afternoon from 11:30 to 12:30 or 11 to 12:30 on Twitter, but then we're going to put it out on our YouTube and then it'll be saved. And then they're going to do some snippets. But the idea is at this point, just to get that conversation going, that we really need to start aligning these programs so that we're not all working in silos. And I mean, Ann and I saw firsthand last week, we were at TSBVI, the school, and they agree we're all still working in too many silos, and we need to come together, and we'll be stronger when we start working together. So at this meeting, you're going to have Texas Technology Access Program. You're going to have a maker studio here at the University of Texas. You're going to have TechFest Live, and they're willing to start supporting some competitions and adding assistive technology into that. And then you've got participating this. You're going to have a representative from like CTA, Houston City Council. So we're going to be bringing people together. And then there'll be a chat. So if you have comments, it's a really good time for you if you can participate, to put some really valuable comments in there, because there will be people from all over the country kind of observing this. But it's more going to be the tech world, and we want to make sure that we're bringing out that need for assistive technology. So we'd love for anyone to not only view it, but post some comments in the chat, because that's going to get the discussion started. And I'm going to open up an email and put the direct link for the event in chat as Anna progresses. But this is the time. It's going to be next Wednesday, 11 to 12:30, and there'll be 6 of us actually presenting. It's more of a discussion to get the ball rolling, and with hopes that this will be included now.
Thank you, Shannon.
Back to
So we're gonna do an icebreaker. So to help ease into today's combo, we'll start. And you can either, voluntarily unmute, or you can just put it in the chat. You can answer one or both, totally up to you. So the first question is, what's the coolest thing you've ever built? And the second, what's something you want to accomplish this year? And it doesn't have to be tamales related. So I'll give everyone a minute or two, and feel free to react to each other's answers as they come in. But I can start too. So the first thing, so far, I just got a bamboo printer at my house, my partner and I. So I would say the Settlers of Catan, we're pretty big board gamers. And so we are building like 3D game pieces. We've already made like a dice tower for the game, so that one's pretty cool. The second thing, what's something you want to accomplish in the new year? I would say to learn CAD more like in depth. That's kind of what a goal of mine is. So if anyone wants to share, feel free.
Well, I'm participating in lots of interviews to pull together an article, not sure where it would be published, with the proposal that 3D printed key guards are the holy grail of DIY assistive technology. To support people who want to sell their administration on purchasing a 3D printer and doing their own key guard design and printing rather than purchasing them commercially. And I'm hoping to help support Gemma White in doing some research to prove that key guards are actually valuable and help AAC users become more effective, efficient, proficient.
And Gemma White took the ball and ran with it after Ken showed her how to use these, and she is a rock star at producing the key guards, and she's sending them all over the state of New York, which is pretty equivalent to our constituents here in Texas. It's another large area. So she really walks on water. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Is there anyone else? I'm trying to check the chat.
This is Brian Hyman. So this last meeting, but lately, I had to have a leg amputation last year, so I've been working on getting rehabilitated, learning to walk again with a new right leg. So my focus is on helping with physical therapy, working specifically with those experts out there that have to um, bring people back up to speed. So I printed out a prosthetic brace, what we call an Arizona brace for my leg, and I'm playing with it a little bit, and really focused on that, trying to come up with a plan on how I can put together a program that helps these physical therapists because they have such a challenge and they have so many needs for little things that make lives easier. So that's my plan for the new year.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing, Brian.
Brian has been instrumental at getting the 3D printing world started for educators and assistive technology in the Houston area and across the Texas. If it weren't for Brian, I would not be able to do any of the printing that I'm able to do now. He's been very patient at helping me, teaching me, and we've presented together, and it's been a fabulous relationship, I feel. And it's going on almost 10 years now, Brian. So,
I know it's been great. So and we
and
got
go
many,
Texans.
yeah, and go Texans, absolutely.
All
And
right.
then on the sideline, I've started making jewelry, earrings in particular. I made some Aggie earrings. Nothing against Texas, but my Aggie earrings right now are the hot 3D print. I'll have to show you one. I don't know if
Yeah,
you can
we
see it
love
or
to
not.
see.
So there's it's got a little. I need to put the hook on this one. But basically, you get a set of these that hang off your ears. So now when I walk around, when I'm wearing my Aggie earrings, people ask me, why am I wearing earrings? I say, well, because I sell 3D, and that'll get your attention.
Well, Will and Ken, the big competition between universities in Texas are the Aggies and UT. So, and we're UT. So, Brian, you should not be mentioning that on our platform. Not teasing. All right. Next.
I was about to share the same thing. So I'm part of this kids robotics team, first FTC team. And as we are coming close, one of the 3D things that we have printed, which I felt was apart from the bot, of course, was the earrings. Their first earrings, and we are taking it to the competition so that we can give it away at our booth. So that was very exciting to come up with the first earring type of a design. Kids come up with certain things, but I really enjoyed making it with them.
Where is your competition? Is it in?
It's in Austin.
Oh, darn.
Yeah.
And when is it?
It is on 24th of January. So it is the league meet competition or a tournament. It runs from 8 in the morning all the way to 5 in the evening. But this is when they will have 5 different games with their current bot, and they will be competing against the other Austin-based teams.
All right, Anna, I'm going to volunteer. You guys should go and watch this competition with these youngins. It'll be
We
fun.
would love to welcome you, Anna, and would love to have you join us.
And if you have a competition in the Houston area, then I'll come.
Absolutely. If we qualify in this round, then we will definitely be coming to Houston in April. So,
well, then if you do qualify, count me in and I'll be your biggest cheerleader ever.
thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I'll definitely look at my calendar so I can attend.
Thanks, Anna.
Is
I'll
there
send you
any?
the details.
Thank you.
Thailand?
Mhm.
Yeah, one of the things that I felt that I was most proud of, I don't know if it's the coolest, but that I was most proud of, was a reed switch activated electric toothbrush. We had somebody in the clinic who was having trouble switching her toothbrush on and off, and this one was really fun for me because I imagined this idea without knowing that reed switches existed. And so it was really satisfying to find them and then be able to actually make the thing and have it work. So that was a lot of fun. For the new year, I have a ton of work-related goals for publishing and putting in grants and things like that. But I am trying to have better work-life balance. So I'm going to tell you about my goal to read 12,000 pages this year, to try to help with that balance.
That sounds like more work.
Fun work.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like reading. I like reading.
I'm with Kylie.
This read switch, is it something you can share the pattern? It sounds interesting. Or do you have a picture you can share?
I'll have to dig for it. I do have a little video explaining how we made it.
Well, we'll put that in the next month's meeting if you want to share it. We'd love to see
That
it.
that lightsaber video I showed, they were at an impasse and somebody recommended using a reed switch within their hilt to I forget for what function, but that was like the last remaining piece to get the lightsaber going.
Cool.
Yeah. I'll think this is the link. Oh, that's a Google link. 1 second.
About Will, what about you, Will?
Well, obviously the coolest thing I've ever built is the only thing I've ever built, so that's the Atento board. But I guess the thing I'm most proud of is I can finally say it's 100% made in America. I found some great guys out in North Carolina that can help me with both the plastic and the foam.
Nice.
And that was something that I really wanted to. It took me a lot longer than I thought it would, but it was done because, of course, overseas, bunch of craziness and stuff. But I guess the one thing that I'm trying to accomplish this year is to just not take no's so personally when it comes to business, because I'm doing this out of a lot of passion. But for instance, like the other day, the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind, they acted super excited about it, and then they said that they didn't want the boards and that they could make something similar. So that was a real low blow considering I'm working with the Kansas School for the Blind, Atlanta visual impairment. So got upset about them, but then right after that, the state of Florida called and were like, "Hey, we'd like to buy a board." So it's just ups and downs. And honestly, I really look forward to seeing and talking to y'all because y'all really get me excited about everything. And so, yeah, sorry, I'm just happy to be part of y'all. And that's the thing I want to do is just not take it too personally.
Especially in business.
Exactly.
Dr.
I
Lee?
have to put my passion aside sometimes and be like, oh, but not everyone wants to help people as much as we do.
Right. Dr. Lee, you've had some big changes. So what are your goals?
Well, lots of changes. Anyway, Happy New Year, everybody. I had a bit of a big change in the lifestyle because now I'm retired. So a little bit more time to settle things down and then to look at some of the things that needs to be done. And so one of the coolest thing is not something that I built. It's something that maybe relationship-wise, I'm now collaborating and working with TXIX Labs. It's, as you probably know, it's a space maker in Houston. I think it's the biggest in Houston, and one of the big project or a big objective is to set up various different middle schools and high school to work on assistive technology. That is in the work, and this is one of the reasons why I need to have a conversation with you, Shannon, because that is something that is going forward. Discussion has begun. How we're going to do it is up to how various different perspectives can be merged together. So that's one other thing that I think is a cool thing because TXIX and then various different middle schools are involved. I can have a lot of different school with kids that are young and ready to be trained in 3D printing and so on to do some of the work that I think is going to be very, very important in the future. So that's one of the things that I think we're going to go forward with, and the agreement is already on the table. Now it's just a matter of direction. What I want to do in the new year, um, I need to look for some possibility of equipment and funding, because some of the things that we want to do um, may involve quite a bit of expenditures. So these are the kind of things that TSX and I will working on that, and maybe hopefully Shannon can can help. These are some of the things that may create kind of, in my opinion, big impact. And so that's something that I want to accomplish, at least from now until mid-year, that we need to have all this settled. And then some of the project will carry, like for example, the laser harp that is being continued, and so on. So merging technology like laser with switches, and we have a lot of different ideas about how to do some of the assistive technology with 3D printing and other kind of technology. So those are some of the things that being planned right now. So nothing concrete in terms of what to be built, but more like general setup. But as I think it's important part of it is to make sure that we have the right direction to go so that we can expand, especially involving young kids and lots of school. And that's basically what I have in mind for now,
So,
for about half a year from now.
so when I was helping Brian, so to help you, Dr. Lee, when I was working with Brian showing assistive technology with ImageNet, I was helping him out when he was demonstrating the 3D printers and assistive technology at his company's meeting. And there was a gentleman named Adrian Leal, and he's really investing in his community. And he's the one who tied me up with Khalil Vincent, and he's passionate and he is familiar with TXRX. So I think after we meet on the 21st, I think you're going to see some of these conversations come to fruition for some possible funding. And that's why we're really looking forward to this meeting next Wednesday. So that's why if you can attend and put comments in, we would love it, because there's going to be some investors as a part of that meeting that are looking at new ideas. And I think that's just a really good direction to help them move into. So thank you.
Okay. Yes,
Nico?
no problem.
Your turn, Nico.
So far as I feel like the coolest things I've built have been just pre-designed and I've just cut them. But I think my coolest thing that I've built is just building adaptations for people. So like building an adaptations for like a PS3 controller, a PS4 controller, just giving folks more access to the things that they love. I think that's my favorite aspect that I've done. What's something that I want to accomplish in the new year? Not necessarily tamales related. Well, I just got a new title and some new responsibilities and some opportunities for growth. So I'm just going to try to take advantage of those and kind of grow in those ways, which I've been wanting to. So, yeah, kind of cryptic, but that just general outlook for the year is just grow. Try to.
We must have goals. We must have goals. My coolest thing is I took all of my knowledge on that Ken and Brian have all shared with me. Oh, yay, Ben is here. And I took all of my old Christmas cause effect toys and I made them all switch activated. So when the grandkids came over, they had an absolute ball because I've got a whole lineup of switch activated toys. And you know what? If it's good for kids with disabilities, it's also good for kids that are typical developing, or as typical developing as my grandkids can be. Anyways, but so that was really fun. That was a really fun project. So I've got all of my toys switch adapted. I've gone to town. And then a goal for this year is Anna and I want to really, we've kind of started putting together a course to teach people how to make switches, and I've gotten pretty good at it, as I found out with all my Christmas toys. But it's really helping people make better decisions about giving children with disabilities depth and breadth of toys and not just a one and done, because we don't want you as a maker to make something and feel good. We want to make lots of things and have a functional tool that builds skills for a child with a disability. And so it's helping people understand that it's not about you creating and feeling good, although we want you to feel good too, but it's really about creating opportunities and independence and having a different mindset on the why moving forward. All right, and Ben, goals.
Okay, can y'all hear me okay? My internet
perfect.
is kind of in and out. Okay. Um, my goal for this year is I want to finish my CADIS cert, take my exam. So something I'm just trying to focus all my hours on. That's Certified Assistive Technology Instructional Specialist. I'm super excited to get that done. That's one of my big goals. I was just talking to somebody today about learning. I'm like, so what have you been up to? You switching jobs? I'm like, yeah, I have been. I get real bored in my mind if I just sit there and it's the same repetitive tasks over and over. Um, ADHD right there for you. But that's the best part about being in SPED is it's always different. There's always something different to learn and better ways to do things with your kids. So I'm excited about that. And Shannon, I'm excited to see you tomorrow in our other 3D printing group. I heard that
I
you were going to
see.
be there presenting with us.
And your ears should have been burning last week because we were bragging on you at TSBVI. So, anyways,
Aw.
we're coming together. No more silos. That's my goal. No more
Yes.
silos. We got to work together. All right. I think everyone has had a turn. Anna, you want to take
There's
it over?
Adina. I'm not sure if they would want to share.
Who's hiding?
Hello, hold on.
Hey.
Okay, there we go. Doing too many things at once, per usual. Um, Coolest thing I've built. I have not made any sort of accessible devices or sorts, but I am in the process of building a student worker position for my role, which is very exciting, as we can always use more help um, in our various roles and whatnot. Something you want to accomplish in the new year. One is getting this job posted and hire said person. And yeah, I have a lot of other job related or career related goals and whatnot, but I won't bore you with all the details. Just there's a lot of things happening all at the same time and whatnot. So
Well, welcome back, everyone.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. One thing we like to remind everyone, especially in makerspaces, is that assistive technology is everywhere. So it shows up in sensory supports, access tools, vision and hearing solutions, communication, organization, and then everyday things like reading, writing, safety, play. A lot of the things we build or adapt fall into more than one of the categories, and that overlap is where like a lot of the creativity happens. So. And then today's agenda, we'll talk about new connections, share any new resource. Well, we did new connections, so new resources, and then a little bit of tech intel.
And it looks like everyone here is pretty consistent. So,
Okay, I'll hand things over to Shannon.
all right. So Patrick got a real article, and so he's really making waves. Patrick is running they call it the Hello Maker Studio here at the University of Texas. And the cool thing about his studio, he's on his second year and he's taken the ball and he's running with it. And he's really starting to focus on assistive technology. And we now have him partnered with Austin Independent School District So they're going to be working with a school that is self-contained, and they're going to be working with families of students with disabilities and the students at the college. So kind of giving us, and then they're going to start some research. So it's kind of where we want to get started, and we got to practice what we preach. So they're going to be making real assistive technology for real students. And so we're really excited, and we'll keep you posted on that. I'm going to put the article here in the chat so that you all have that. So this is Patrick, and this talks a little bit about his makerspace. And he will be the other person. He has like 25 years. He taught maker groups in schools and for 25 years, but it's just been the last 2 that he's moved up to the university level, and he's really doing a great job. So we're real thrilled to have him on our team. And then this I want to make you aware of, and this especially Meha, this is a Makeable challenge. So they've got this challenge, and it's not too late to sign up. So students can participate in this. And this is a good site because it shows you some things that have been produced. This is really close to the, this motion rail writing aid is really cool because they sell a device like that for, it's about $1,000. And so you've got the plans here to make something similar. And if parents want to take that on, then they save several, because you can make it, I think, for about $150 in parts. So there, anyway, so there's some examples here, and that's why I think it's pertinent, because you can see what other people are creating. So I think that's always a really good, don't reinvent the wheel. And then Anna was like, well, what's the price? And I guess it's to be determined, but it's kind of based on the environment. But for schools, it could be 3D printing, and it's also materials and supplies. So if your guys can do something with that, Dr. Lee, that would be another way to possibly get some resources. But you have to win, but I think you could. These are all articles, so they're or resources. So adaptive devices. So this one is Arise, and so we're putting these in the Padlet, but they're just showing some things that are not necessarily 3D printed, but early childhood mobility is huge. And so these are some shared 3D printed devices. And we're always saying, don't reinvent the wheel. And this is what somebody has posted, like adaptive tools. And I think sometimes having these different resources is really good because you can take something and improve upon it rather than reinventing it if you need it. And you never know what your clients are going to need. So it's a good way to start if you're working with a client or an individual with a disability, because they might not know what they need. And then they see something and they'll think, well, that could be a game changer. And I see that quite often. The next one is, these are all just different ideas. And these are some low-tech ideas that could be improved upon. So we always like to share those. So let me stick these in. Oh, I don't want the ad. See, look at what it's doing. It's giving me the ad. I don't want the ad. I want the actual link. So these are just some different places that we found to share with some resources. And all of these resources will be on that Padlet, so you don't have to download them all. But it's just to give people ideas on other do-it-yourself. And this is, I thought hers was really nice. She's a real subtle OT therapist, and she's got some unique ideas on here also, but all do-it-yourself. Simple things that we can do. Look at this, diabetes mirror to check your skin if you can't reach it. It's things that we don't even think about. And some of them are so simple. So sometimes I think we get so... And this is why you really want to keep the individual that's going to be using it in the loop. Because sometimes sometimes it looks like it's going to be a really good idea, but they're not even going to try it because of how it looks. And we've got to honor that. So those were those resources. So we always need to grow. And then the next slide is going to be articles. And I've kind of been focusing this time. I try to I get an idea in my head and then I try to focus on um, uh, kind of a theme. And with the presentation we're doing next week, I wanted to make sure I was really well versed in kind of the barriers and benefits of including people with disabilities in the actual maker spaces. And so these articles kind of align with that on not just having a maker space, but including individuals with disabilities in those maker spaces. And that's just best practice. So this is a barriers and benefits article, the path to accessible maker spaces. So it's really kind of thinking about how, and in my perfect world, starting with the school setting, which is not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is all maker spaces be inclusive. But in schools, I think that's that key point I want to come across with is we're not making things for kids with disabilities. We're making things with kids with disabilities. And as much as we can bring some of these kids in, and I use an example of Willis ISD. I've been working with a young man there, and he's been our poster child at the University of Texas because he was able to get a nonprofit to purchase an Obi feeding robot. And so you've seen his video. I've shared him. And then over the holidays, he borrowed our gaming kit. And it's the first time in his life he's really been gaming. And his mom's an avid gamer and his sister's an avid gamer. And his mom didn't even realize, even though she borrowed that other equipment, that we had that gaming equipment. So she's now borrowed all of our gaming equipment and he's doing gaming design at his school as one of his classes. And so he's a perfect example where nobody has any expectations for him, but he's brilliant and he's taking the ball and running with it. And so even though he's got the physical limitations, his mind is solid and he's got a lot of great ideas and he's got a lot of ideas about his own body and what he wants to do. And so he's been really good for his campus to see and work with. This is a similar article on that line. And it's talking about accessible spaces, accessible designing a makerspace for accessibility. So it's not just a makerspace, but an accessible makerspace. And then these other two are just some articles on the improvements of life and these some of the fun ideas. So these are all going to be added to, this one's by Bamboo Lab. Oops, I'm getting slow. So this is just some of the things that we want to consider. And then this one, because we're focusing on Texas, I thought was really good. And it's the right to repair, specifically geared. I had one for Colorado, but this one's geared specifically towards Texas. And it's the right to repair, meaning that we have a right to repair the things, especially assistive technology, because many times the manufacturers would hold that over the head of the individuals using the device. Well, you can't touch it because then it voids all warranty. And so there is a right to repair law, and I think that's important. All right, so there you go for that. And there's more information on that, but that's just a really key component to think about. So those are the new articles, and I'm going to turn it over. Any comments on the articles or anything that I've shared on those two slides? Aha moments. We're all growing together. Oh, back to Nico. Your shoes.
Hey, they're not my shoes. I'm not wearing them right now. So these are just some sneakers that came out of CES that are 3D printed. How they work, I'm not sure. Our folks in Dallas, they have some retailer in Dallas that they sell to. So if you want, please go buy some of these shoes. They are expensive. They are like $180, but I don't know, could be something to check out, and I could see some use cases for it so far as just customization to folks' feet, maybe more of an ergonomic design, whatever it may be. This is just the latest and greatest out of CES that we found. This is the first article, and we do have another thing that's mobility related.
I actually added two more on you, Nico.
I did,
found two
yeah.
more.
No,
Okay.
You sent me a curveball. Um,
Hey,
and
Nico.
yeah, so a few more. This Minverse is really cool because it's kind of like introducing augmented like 3D design, and giving you like haptic feedback. So it's a device that can work with most online designer softwares like Blender. And the idea is to give you kind of like a haptic feedback, like being able to design in your environment, like not just like looking at a screen, but actually like sculpting it, becoming your own Michelangelo. So this, I believe it's in its infancy as well. I think it was the second year at CES that they had this. So still maybe some design flaws or just kinks to work out, but it's a pretty cool looking device. Like they have it saying here, it's pretty immersive, open access, and then also ergonomic design. So really just trying to open up those barriers because I know some folks like myself do struggle with not having being able to touch things and like kind of mold them, kind of like Play-Doh. Um, but yeah, no, it's something go check out, see if it's something of interest to you, and maybe you can go buy one and tell us how it works.
Hey, Nico, can I
Yeah,
can I ask you a question about these shoes?
yeah,
You said the shoes are on sale expensive, fairly expensive, 180 something, right?
yeah.
Um, what about, can we print it? It's 3D printed, right?
It's 3D printed. Yeah, I don't know if it's proprietary. I don't know the kind of the ins and outs of how they came to conceptualize and kind of produce this. But yeah, I bet if you reached out to them, they could maybe provide it. And I don't know. It just seems like this is like at least a trend, right? I mean, just designing our own
Well,
shoes and yeah.
If you only need one, then do you get charged half price?
no, I'm not looking at one. I'm thinking that if it is something that we can modify and improve, which is what you usually do when you buy
Yeah,
shoes.
yeah.
Sometimes shoes looks good, but it doesn't fit well. But if we can have access
Exactly.
to the design, and we probably can print it with TPU, I think it's gonna be doable and much cheaper if we print it ourselves. That's what I want to find out if it's possible. If anyone knows, if you know somebody who may be able to provide that or locate it, the file, the design file somewhere, I'd like to
I
be
can
able to
definitely
do,
do
and
some
I'll look for
digging.
myself too. But I don't
Yeah.
know if it is or not because you said it's fairly new, right? But that's
It
something that
is, yeah.
I think that'd
There
be
are
Debuted at
some
very
files
useful.
out
CES.
there for shoes. I've read in several Reddit groups that I join in for 3D printing, and they're using the TPU. So I bought some TPU just to try this out, but I just think of the possibilities for our students
Mhm.
that we work with. Like we can make some shoes for you real quick, maybe something that fits, or I mean, we've all had those kids who come in with shoes that are talking, the soles aren't sticking to the shoe anymore, and you're like, well, I just made a pair. Here you go, slap them on.
Ben,
Well,
I'm
that's
thinking for that student that kicks them off, I used to put like I would start with the communication board and I'd start with 20. If they threw it, I'd just give them another one. They kick their shoe off. Oh, well, here's another one. Oh, here's another
Mhm.
one. Oh, here's another one.
Yes,
Because I do
Mary
see a
Poppins.
lot of students with disability. A lot of them do not walk straight, and this is something that might be very
Yeah.
useful to be able to do.
Prosthetic shoes. Yeah.
Well, not quite prosthetic. Um,
But
it
yeah,
is in a way. It is in a way, but the one I'm looking at is basically when you try to, for example, we 3D scan and 3D printed um, insert for the soul
based
for
on the
people.
art.
Yeah, for people who had some issue with them when they were growing up, they have some issue with the way they walk. They can't walk evenly, so you can do an insert one higher than the others, and then now they can walk with a balance feet. And this is the beginning of a whole lot of things that you can modify for shoes for people who needs to walk properly. So shoe is one of the very important that we pay attention to. Unless we can design ourselves, and we haven't got to the stage where we can design it ourselves. However, I'm very interested if we can get access to some of the possibility design that we can I guess benchmark. I guess is a good term for it. So if you know of anybody who provide that, please let me know. In the meantime, it's going to take us a little while to design it, but I think there's it's a promise way to do things because there is a need. I see there's quite a lot of need for that.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Agreed.
that's
It
my
truly
thoughts.
can have many applications. I mean, you can go from like sports shoes down to just slipper wear. I mean, shoes are expensive, so um, yeah, I really like it's a start at least. So
Yeah.
the other two that she mentioned that are related is this robotic exoskeleton to kind of give you like a pep in your step. That how I when I was reading the article, it made me think of those like walking strips in airports that make you walk faster.
Mhm.
It just kind of gives you that little extra like, ooh, I'm like gliding on air. And so that's kind of how they described it is a kind of like it's like bio hardware for your legs. And when the idea is that it's supposed to like alleviate the kind of I guess if you think about plantar fasciitis or like neuropathy, it's trying to help alleviate those like long-term concerns when it comes to being on your feet too much or not or too little. And so this is just to help folks kind of walk in a healthy way, not necessarily like incorrectly. Because I have a gait sometimes, and that has led to some problems with my sciatica. And I can imagine like something like this helping me a lot as like it gets worse, or helping me alleviate some of that pain, or trying to course correct. So
And
True.
they've also stated using it with individuals like someone who's had a stroke who has a hard time initiating movements.
perfect.
And so
Yeah.
some of these will initiate the movement to help them in like it's like they get stuck and they just can't get their foot to start, but then they can use these and it helps them get started. And once they get started, they're fine. So there are some therapeutic uses for that.
And
One of
speaking
the
of therapy, yeah.
one of the issue with exoskeleton, in my opinion, or in my experience, is that it tends to be bigger than how you can print in one piece. And that
Yeah.
sometimes becomes a bit of a problem because as you know, if you use PLA or any material plastic, it wears out in a short time.
And I
And
don't
so
think that one is 3D printed. I think that one is just a design idea.
perhaps, but the one that we have experience with are the one that you can join together. And when you join together with some movement, okay, that becomes a repetitive problem because it can wear down and it kind of lose its movement after a while. So we have to do a lot of reprinting, um,
Mm.
especially if it has more than one or two pieces that join together. So that's one of the problem. I prefer if we could a prototype with one piece rather than several pieces put them together, even though the time that you can't do anything about it, but you have to use screws and you have to use attachment to join things together. But that in itself becomes a little problem because it won't last very long. We have prosthetic hands that I use it a few times and it starts to get loose or it gets to be replaced. So that's something that I'm trying to figure out if it can fit into one print bed. I think it has much better chance it lasts longer than if you have two or three pieces together. That's I just want to offer that out there. Okay.
And yeah, the just making us more autonomous, I guess, having the right to repair would help with these kind of circumstances.
Great.
The last thing is this robotic puppy, which we also have. They're similar. We have some in our house that you can check out at our loan library, but
Not
they're only
for
getting not like
not for
these.
not for $1,500, but we have them
No,
and I don't think I would pay that much for it, but we do have something like this in our lending library.
they're only getting better, and they do help our folks with psychiatric disabilities and our aging older populations, and combating loneliness. So far as
Looks like
we only
something that
have, go ahead, Dr. Lee.
yeah, it looks like something needs to be coded, isn't it? With a robotic dog.
I
Oh, I'm
think so.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because that becomes a more complex issue now. I mean, the dog is cute and it does things that is comforting, but first of all, I think to be able to code them, some of these movement from the dog or the cat or whatever the animal you make, it's pretty sophisticated movement. So I think there's a lot to be from outside looking in. That's why it costs quite a bit of money. I was wonder with amazement how much is involved in order to be printing. I think is not a big problem because you print the shell and then you put coating on it that makes it look like an animal. That's good. But the inside, the cell, the brain itself, I think is a chip that can take commands and instructions. That would be, I think, would quite a bit of movement. If my experience with robotics for movement of a car is any example, that in itself is quite a lot of work for a high school student already. So you're looking at something that maybe a professional, like university student, second or third year upward, may be able to do. But I'm not sure how much involved. Do you know anything about that?
At
That
least,
is way beyond my engineering
yeah.
expertise.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is it costs $1,500. If we find a way to bring it down in terms of cost for a student or for people, for young people with disability, to make it cost less than $1,500, you got to find a way to code it less, or to be able to produce things that will involve less timely in terms of coding, or in terms of doing things. If we can do that, then it works. But I'm not quite sure how yet, because I was looking into that, and I wonder if you know anything about it, because you brought this up. So I was looking for a way to look into it.
We have little stuffed animals that move a little bit. They're a little interactive with, and we are using them with aging people with Alzheimer's, and they've got some research showing that they're real beneficial. But I don't know anything about the programming or and the ones that we have, they're under $100. They're about $70 a piece, and they just they're motion activated, and when you move, the cat's kind of freaky if you ask me, but it like lifts up and. Anyways, but
Scary
they're
at night
fun.
too, right?
Yeah, they could be.
So
Okay,
the few
just
minutes
if you
that we
know
have left,
anything, if there's a way, let me know. I'm
Got it.
very interested in robotic movement. Yeah.
we kind of talked a lot about like what we're hoping for the next year and stuff, and kind of sharing a bit. So we're gonna kind of wrap it up here. Obviously keep the conversation going, because I imagine a world where they would have all these robotic pets, but if you want to have the dog do a trick, you have to pay like $25 a month to like roll around, or give you a paw, or yeah, just the whole thing. I'm thinking about all these products and electronics that we have that are stuck behind paywalls. But this is our wrap up. Next meeting is going to be the 17th, 11:30 to 12:30, February 17th. You will get more information about that next time, within the next month or so. The team will be going to ATIA, which is the Assistive Technology Industry Association conference. It's down in Florida. Lucky them. I will not be going. And then Closing the Gap, which is always in Minneapolis. They have a call for papers going on right now. And Closing the Gap is geared towards educators and education sectors. So ATIA is more umbrella focused on assistive technology, whereas Closing the Gap has an education focus. So
It doesn't really, it just has kind of emerged into that, but it's not, but there are a lot of adults there. It just seems to be that way. And so you take that with a grain of salt.
totally, yeah. No, it's not. It's like educators. I went there and I took a soldering, like a fabrication soldering, like little mini course. So there's a lot of things for folks. So, and I'll pass it back over to you, Shannon.
So Shannon, before you go on, I'll say ATIA is industry. Closing the Gap is grassroots. That's why I like Closing the Gap better.
Nice. Yeah, because there's not just education there, but it seems like it's a good starting place for education teams to go. So
I agree with you. Education is a way to go. And it need to be somebody pushing it hard, because I think education is too laid back for this. They're not doing as much as they should. My experience is what I saw, and I think Shannon, you share my frustration in that education is kind of lack of interest, I guess, in some way. Now, I'm not sure why.
I think it's a lack of cohesiveness, because I talk to a lot of people that want to do it, but you don't have the cohesion and the administrative support. And if you don't have administrative support, you don't move forward, period. And that was, you know, the issue we came up with your program, Dr. Lee, is you had your administrative support internally, but not above your campus. And so that's what we need to change. And that's why we need to really start hitting some of these industry leaders, because then they're going to push TEA, Texas Education Agency, into including this, because they're going to see the need for it and they're going to see how beneficial it is. And they're interested. So one of the individuals that Khalil Vinson, who's the one who's going to be leading our meeting next week, met with, was an individual from CTA, and they actually set up the CES meeting in Nevada. And he has a disability, and disability is one of their main focuses, and they've not thought about this educational piece. So by getting some of these people who are setting up even these grown-up competitions, I think we're just going to open doors and awareness, and that's going to be a game changer. And once it just becomes what we do, that's what we do.
Let's hope you're right.
I'm persistent.
Yeah,
I got that
give
going
that
for
to
me.
you.
All right.
And now
And
that I have more time, I think whatever direction you think is that we need to go, I'll help you with that, because I'm kind of not happy with the way it was when I was still in the system. Now I'm outside the system and I have more flexibility of
so
doing
game on,
things.
Dr. Lee. You've got TXRX behind you. We're moving forward, because that was a
Yeah,
phenomenal.
that's game
Dr.
on.
Lee, Dr. Lee took me for a tour, and I was they have like this huge wood shop and this huge metal shop, and and people borrow this facility and they lock the doors so that they can do proprietary stuff, which then makes me nosy because I want to peek in the doors, and you're not allowed to because it's locked. So it's all fun. But anyways, you guys are awesome. Thank you for joining us for another year. This is exciting. And yay. Off into the sunset with my Mustang, which has wheels, but still needs a lot of work.